Okay, here we go. If everybody could mute themselves, unless you're going to be talking, that would be great. So what we want to talk about tonight is just kind of like see other people's journeys to silver. Silver looks so different for everybody. There are people that go silver in a day, and there are people that go silver after 3 years. So no journey is the same. We don't want you to be comparing your journey to someone else's. We just want you to learn from somebody else's journey, because I guarantee you there is something that can be learned in all of these journeys. So tonight we have blues and greens with us. We have Sarah Kreider, who is probably as blue as they get. She is blue, 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 blue. You want to have a fun time? Call up Sarah. She's always good for a fun time. And then we've got Christy and Deja, who are our greens. I know very little about you guys, so I'm super excited to have you guys talk tonight. Christy, I talked with a little bit in this book study one time. But I am really excited to hear more from you guys. So let's start with our first question. Sarah, I will have you go first as the blue, and then we'll move into Christy and Deja. So my first question is, Sarah, what made you want to go silver? Oh, I can't hear. Can you guys hear her? We can't hear you, Sarah. Okay, we're going to go to Deja and Christy while you work on that. Perfect. So Deja, what made you want to go silver?
Simply stated, I wanted my products paid for.
Clear and simple, she wanted her products paid for. I can resonate with that. That was my exact story. I didn't want to have to pay another dime for these products.
Yes.
So no need to explain anymore. She did not want to pay for those products. Christy, what about you? What made you want to go silver?
I couldn't afford the products unless I went silver.
Okay.
It didn't fit in my budget.
So it wasn't even like, I want my products paid for, I have to.
Yes.
I have to get them paid for, or I can't take these. And just two very direct answers, guys. Don't be afraid to ask your people, why are they working the business? Deja and Christy, if they wouldn't have gone silver, they probably would have quit the products. And that is like the most important thing, is to keep our people on the products. What's important as well is they probably didn't want to wait 90, 120 days, 6 months. They didn't want to wait until they had a story. Okay, sometimes we let that be an excuse for a lot of people. We can't let that be an excuse for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't have an extra 150 bucks lying around to spend on products that might work. Okay, Sarah, do we have sound yet? Okay, we're gonna keep going. Well, maybe we'll do all of our green questions and then we'll go back through and ask the blues. We can improvise.
And Sarah, you can always, sorry, Ashley,
Yeah.
but Sarah, you can always call in if you can't figure out the computer audio. You can dial in on your phone so we can see you, but we can also hear you if you call in on the audio.
Do you want to maybe send her a number, Laura? Okay. And then, okay, so back to Deja. What was the hardest part about going silver, and what did your journey look like to silver?
The hardest part about me going silver was I kind of felt like I had to backtrack with my relationships with people. Being a green, we all know we can be very skeptical. And so I kind of had that wall. I mean, I could be friendly with whomever, but there's always that skepticism there. So I felt like I really had to dig deep in my very uncomfortable zone and start from scratch with people I was reaching out to. And that was really, really difficult to start and to stick with.
Awesome. I love that, because I think that's very eye-opening, that when we're working with greens, a lot of them could feel that way. Not all of them will, but a lot of them could feel that way because they do have a skeptical side to them. So that's good to know that that's something that greens may struggle with, and that we as their leaders need to be there to help them walk through that and to help show them that it's worth pushing through that wall and kind of backtracking. Christy, what about you? What was hardest? What did your journey look like a little bit?
So I'd already kind of come over that skepticism myself, but I didn't tell people about any of it beforehand, that I was looking at the products or anything like that. The hardest part was for me was I had already decided, hey, these are going to work. I know they're going to work. I've researched the products. I know that it's going to happen. So why don't you see that? Why don't you see this information I'm giving you as factual type of thing? So it's really hard for me to learn how to approach people with their personalities and not my personality. So
Okay.
that was rough.
Connecting was a little bit harder for you. Is that what you're saying?
It was. Well, and learning that just, I love researching things and seeing, okay, so I know this is going to work because these products can do this, this, and this, and this, and here's the scientific proof behind it all. But other people learning that that's not necessarily how they think.
Got it.
Just, I find it that way. It doesn't make sense to them or it doesn't work for them. So that was rough.
Yeah, I could see that because as a green, you're like, no, guys, these work. Like, look at the clinical studies. Look at all this research. And then realizing
it's still something to overcome, but I'm better.
That not everybody cares about the research and the clinical studies and all that stuff. Or maybe they all care about it, but it's not the deciding factor. It's not the thing that's going to switch them into the, yes, I've got to have that stuff. So another really good point. It sounds like Sarah's working. I think we're just going to keep going back and forth with greens for right now, and then we'll switch to the blue since we've kind of already got this going. Give me like a little snapshot. What did your journey to silver look like? Was it a 3-day journey? Was it a 1-month journey? Was it a 2-year journey? Deja, what was your journey like?
As a true green, let me start out by saying it took Lorelei 2 years to get me on board with Plexus. So silver took me about a couple of months.
Okay.
At the beginning of it, it was very, very slow go because it was like I got myself into a paralysis. I didn't function because I was too worried about gathering all the information I could about the product, gathering my own personal story before I really reached out and shared with people. And then after the holidays, I was just like, this is ridiculous because I gotta get my stuff paid for. So I kind of just sucked it up and really started reaching out. And as soon as I got my first ambassador, I was like, holy cow, this is not near as terrifying or hard as I was making it out to be. So it definitely gave me the boost that I needed to really start approaching people and working the business like I should have.
And I could see that for a green, feeling like you had to have all the information because that's what you wanted when you started. And I could see how that could be paralyzing. Like, what if they ask me about this and I don't have the right answer? Greens, do you guys love like those product information sheets? Because for me, those are like amazing. So yeah, I'm seeing like, yes. and it's getting so much better. There's so much more stuff in the back office and our shareables and stuff now. So if you are coaching a green or someone that you think might be green, make sure that they know those are there, guys, because that will probably help them not feel that paralysis. Christy, what did your journey to silver look like?
Well, first off, it was a happy day for me when I found those product information sheets. Like it was amazing when I found those in the shareables. My journey, I went silver within I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks of once I purchased and started the product. So it was a few weeks. However, it was kind of the same thing. Like I felt like I threw up Plexus a lot. So I'm like, look at all this information I got. Like I researched too much. Not necessarily too much. I shared too much of the research that I had. But it gets me all excited. So it was really hard for me to like tone it down and like give them little bits by little bits. So that journey, I don't know, it was kind of rough getting people on board because I would give them too much information. So it was really people that knew me that signed up first, some family members and such, and people that just wanted to help me out. But getting them to stick on was hard. So staying silver was rough too.
Good to know. And I like what you said there, like for a green, I mean, I think we all struggle with this. I know I did, but like giving too much information at once because you think that that's what everybody else wants. So as you're coaching greens, kind of give them that guideline of, hey, I know how much you love research, but just keep in mind that not everybody will, and you'll scare people if you give them too much. Just just those simple sentences. Like, if you'd like more information, I do have product information on the sheets. I do have clinical studies. I'd be happy to share those if that's something that's important to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's
I just want to check. I ask people, do you want to know the science behind it, or do you want to know the ingredients? I ask them specifics like that because I can give you a whole scientific outline of how the digestive tract works and how our products work within that, but that's not necessarily what people want. Sometimes people, a lot of crunchy moms, well, what's the ingredients behind it? So you got to ask more specific questions like that too.
Yes, and that's great. Also, what I'm hearing here is if you get those crazy green questions and you're not really sure how to answer, that Deja and Christy might be some good friends to make in this business and say, someone just asked me this question. Do you have an article, or do you have something that you share when people ask you this? Write those names down right there because not all of us are gifted in research and product information. So some good friends to make. The other thing is there anything you would have done differently in your journey to silver? Anything you wish you would have done or you wish you didn't do? Deja, anything come to mind there?
I wish I wouldn't have taken so long to get to that point. I feel like I put my priority was absorbing information as opposed to working my business. And that was the complete opposite of what I was trying to do in the first place. So now, I wish I would have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so I was just going to say, like, along those lines, do you think there's anything that could have changed your mind? Because you were probably pretty set, like, I've got to learn all this stuff. Was there anything that your leader could have done differently to help you realize that you could share openly from the beginning? Anything that she did do that made you feel okay to start sharing when you did?
Well, definitely, I'll say that her encouragement made huge strides for me to just keep going. But I think I don't think necessarily her, but I think as a whole, I came from a retail background for at least 10 years in a management position. I like structure. And if you give me a set plan of what to do, I can do it. And I could do it really, really well. And I kind of think I felt a little lost on how to achieve that. And I think the best way that I knew how to handle that at that moment was gathering as much information as possible, but I wasn't doing anything with it. So I think more structure would have been amazing for me.
And that's a good point. A lot of reds and greens are like that, where we strive and thrive in cultures of structure. We just worked on last week when we get a new ambassador, a checklist that has videos and things and links for everybody. We're starting this company from the very beginning. So there's a lot of stuff that isn't created. And I think that's just encouragement for us. All of our leaders are great and we're all doing great things, but these are the times when we can learn is what else can we be doing? What can we be creating for our new ambassadors? Because there's great information out there now. There are so many videos. If we can put them all in one place and help people, I think that's the next step, the next logical step. Lorelai and I have been talking about that a lot. Like, how do we make this easy? And Cassie, I don't think Cassie's been able to make it yet, but Cassie and Jana, we've been talking about what's the duplication? How do we make this simple so there's a process for people to do it at their own speed, but to do what they want when they want. I see a chat. Yes, Cassie's internet is still out. I know she was trying desperately. I can see her walking around in her woods with a flashlight, is there signal yet? Christy, I'd like to hear from you next then. Was there anything that you would have done differently? Anything your leader did that was yes, this was amazing. Anything that you're like looking back, I mean, hindsight is 2020. Is there anything looking back that you're like, you know what, I think that could have maybe been helpful for me?
So I feel like a lot of the same as Deja. Like there's so many times where I felt like I had to have all the information before I could have a conversation with someone about it, just in case they asked me a question that I didn't know the answer to. Like I felt like I had to have all the answers. So I think, which at that point in time, Kasha was still really kind of new training ambassadors too. I think I was the first one of her ambassadors that wanted to really run with the business. So it was still new to her and stuff. So it was a lot of Cassie kind of teaching both of us along the way too. It still is sometimes. I'm still like need learning on teaching my ambassadors too. But I think the structure aspect of it, she said the structure aspect of it, and I need, if you give me this, and this to do, I can do it. And I could do it really good. And it was rough for me having to be able, someone ask me a question, don't know the answer, have to figure out a way to answer this person. And my mind's just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to respond to this. And someone tell me, well, just say this. I'm like, well, that makes sense, but that's not what comes to my head. So that's something I still work on too, is learning, how to really give good responses back to people. So I think having more training than that in the forefront for people who maybe are like us greens, where we feel like we need to have things laid out and we don't have that. Well, how do you, on a fly, these are things you could think about when someone asks this question. Or maybe, if someone asks, well, what does this mean on an ingredient? Well, maybe questions to probe more. I think that would be helpful as a new green. So.
Yes, I love that. And I think giving our people, when they sign up, just like different people to follow on YouTube, to check out their YouTube channels. Not everybody's going to dive into YouTube channels for hours, but I'm guessing Deja and Christy are the people that would. And so you don't have to give them a list of 30 videos to watch, but you can say, hey, go check out like Ame Darling and Jennifer Pickett, and Tara Castaneda has some great things on sharing with people. So give them those names, remind them of those names every once in a while of people that they can watch. Again, not everybody's going to dive into hours of YouTube videos, but some people will. And so if you're just that person that they can kind of go to, and I'm guessing for both of you, it was super encouraging when you would bring things to your leaders and they would say, you know what, here's the answer, or I'm not sure of the answer, but I know someone that does, and I'm going to find that information out. And so just kind of reassuring your greens that we don't know all the answers, but we have access to people that do know the answers. So they don't have to fear of somebody asking something that we don't know the answer to, because we have access to the scientists, guys. Like we can email the corporate office and get answers on any question. So making sure that your people know that, so they're not paralyzed by what if somebody asks me a question that I don't know the answer to. It may take a second, but honesty with your people will go way further than just leaving them stuck in this fear of, I don't know what they're going to say. So thank you so much for sharing from our greens. We're going to jump over to our blue girl, get our party hats on. Sarah, do I need to unmute your phone one? Let me see here. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yay! Woohoo! Okay, so let's hear from the blue. Sarah, what made you want to go silver?
I didn't know I wanted to go silver.
I love it. How did you go silver? What did your journey look like?
I started taking the products when Lorelai told me to. And then I was on it, I think like a month and a half before Lorelai did her opportunity sip-and-see up here in Illinois. And then other people wanted to know about it. You were there, Ashley. And then Ivy was there. And then Lorelai was like, it is working. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why don't you talk to a few other people? And I was like, okay. And that was pretty much the start of it. So like I want you to know I was very red and I took notes on the question.
Good job.
I took notes on no problem. And so like to go silver, I think what made me want to go silver, like I said, I mean, I really didn't know. I didn't I like people. I like talking about it, and this stuff was I was starting to see a difference for me. And with Lorelai's prompting, I wanted to talk to other people about it that couldn't be at the meeting. Since we had so many friends in common, it was kind of natural to share it with people, and just jump in. I think when I went silver, when Lorelai prompted me to talk to people about it, it just kind of happened quickly. Lorelai might change. I don't know. I'm not Lorelai if you agree with me. I think it did. And it was friends. It was friends of Lorelai and I that signed up really pretty quickly. It was boom, boom, boom. And it was one of my best friends from high school, another one of my best friends, and then Debbie, who was actually like Lorelai and our friend, and we had chatted about that. And with that, I went silver pretty quickly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, most of yours happened through face-to-face conversations. Is that accurate? Yeah. Blues thrive off that like opportunity to just talk to somebody else. And Sarah had another reason to talk to people, because she'll talk to people about anything. But what I hear her saying, it's funny, you know, hers was all, you kept hearing people, people, people. The greens were like, nope, I need my products paid for. Very different, both very legit reasons to work the business. There is no right or wrong in this business, but we have to know the people that we're coaching. So the blues, they just want to connect with people. They want to offer hope to people. They want to do something with another person. And so that's great, Sarah. What would you say, what would you say was the hardest part about going silver, and maybe anything you would have done differently?
I think the hardest part was getting up the courage to talk to people. Thankfully, they're my friends, but it's hard sometimes to ask for things and say, hey, you kind of got to follow up on it. I'm already terrible about some of the procedural stuff, so it was difficult to be someone that had to follow up with people and make sure they click the right tab. And I didn't even know what the right tab was. So it was a lot of fumbling. I don't think I saw myself as an expert to talk to people. I just knew it was working for me, and I wanted my friends to come along on the ride with me. And I think what was the second part? What would it be?
Would you have done anything
difficult?
differently?
Yeah, I think I would have built, in my overall business, I think I would have built some more, a stronger customer base than jumping people right into ambassador and going silver. I think if I had, that's one thing I do think that would have set me up a little bit better. As I went forward, it became difficult as I transitioned to gold, to get some of those numbers, like comparing like your stuff to mine, Ashley, when you were getting all these people that were going ambassador and you had your customers. Most of my people joined because of their personal relationship with me, which is a great motivator, right? But at the same time, I'm one person, and I don't know everything. So, there's a lot of pressure on that. So I do think I wish there would have been more of that at the beginning. I would caution people to do that, make sure they have that strong customer base first.
To just kind of vet people a little bit better and know, like, hey, you should sign up as a customer, you should sign up as an ambassador. Because I'm sure blues, people will follow what blues do because they're fun. Like, oh, Sarah's doing this, I want to do this with her. And so just making sure that you're having some of those harder conversations of like, do you plan to take these products for 90 days? If not, maybe just start you out as a customer, which are kind of heavy conversations for a blue. A blue just wants to do it.
And I think that you also asked, like, what would be something, and I heard a lot of conversation about where the information was for greens and stuff. I sometimes find the opposite. I want to find the simplest way to get to the information, and I want it simple. Like, our Facebook page overwhelms me with all the information. It's great, but rarely do I have enough time to, like, filter through it all. So it's, I know that when we started Lorelai, we were talking about, what's like the need to know? Give me the need to know, and then make sure I know how to access the information deeper when I need it. Like, I save things onto my phone because I don't actually have the opportunity to read it all in a moment, but I'll try to come back to it at some point. And then I need to know where's the quickest way, because I won't always find it in our like Facebook page, or I get lost in the virtual office at times. So I save everything I think I need, and then if I don't, then Lorelei, you're smiling, but you know this is true. I have a file of like a cajillion things that you've probably changed or modified, but in my head, at least I know, well, if it's anything Plexus, it's here. And that's helpful.
And what I hear from like a coaching standpoint is if you have a blue on your team, you probably need to either get on a Zoom with them or in person and say, okay, when someone wants to sign up, here's the graphic. Let's put this in a folder on your phone. Your greens and your reds, we'll talk more about reds next week, but they're probably more likely to search for themselves and find the stuff, where your blues, if they cannot find it right away, they're just like, nope, I'm done. I can't figure out how to do this. This is too complicated. It's too difficult. I can't. Okay, your greens and your reds will put a little bit more time into it. So take some time, with all of your ambassadors, but your blues especially, it's going to be important to get with them because it needs to be fun. And when it starts looking more like work, it looks a lot less fun, and they're going to be like, see ya. There's not enough parties in the world to keep them going. So make sure you cut out time as you're coaching blues. You need to go to that.
Hi, Chloe.
Thank you. Speaking of my blue, she is a strong blue right there. She heard Mama on the phone and had to come out. So we are approaching 9 o'clock. I really appreciate all you guys sharing. If you have not watched the Plexus, I don't even know what it's called. Like corporate did the call with Developing Silvers with Jordan Roddenberry and Cassandra Roberts, and there was one other, I'm forgetting her name. But they did that call where they were the ones that earned Silver Stars in February. Guys, super good call. Very good information on there. What I want you to think about is Developing Silvers. If all you did was coach somebody to silver and encourage them to coach someone to silver, guys, your teams would be blowing up. So as we get off this call tonight, sit down and make a list. There are still 17, I guess today's almost over, but 17 days left in this month. You can coach someone to silver this month. You can coach 3 people to silver this month. It is $9.99 to join this business for another 11 days. $9.99, and they have a business for a year. Okay, so take a look at your list. Who are you going to coach to silver? If you're not to silver, what's your deadline? When are you getting to silver by? Is it by Friday? Because you can do it by Friday. It doesn't matter what color you are. You can do it by Friday. You can do it by tomorrow. You can do it tonight. So when are you getting to silver by? And just because you're getting to silver doesn't mean you can't coach somebody to silver. If you went silver every month, if you coached somebody to silver every month and they coached somebody to silver every month, you would be Ruby in a year. Easy. Hands down, you would be Ruby. If that's all you did was went silver every month, coached one person to silver, and they coached one person to silver, you would be Ruby in a year. That's it. Like, it is plain and simple. It's done. So start thinking about that. The biggest thing in this business is coaching other people to silver and duplicating that down the line. Okay, we've given you some tools. There are some things that are still working. Get your people to events. We have these testimony things. If you haven't seen that, Thursday night, Jessica and Abby, and like Jessica's team is kind of joined together. So Abby Cap is on there, Carissa, McKenna, all those people. There's going to be a testimony event every other Thursday, 30 minutes tops. Get your people, your new ambassadors, your wholesale ambassadors, and then your potentials. Get them into that group. It is 30 minutes, 8:30 Central Time, every other Thursday. Get them to those. And then hold your people's hands while they get to silver. Coach them. Hold their hand, get them to silver. Once they get to silver and they've got $400 paycheck, they're going to keep going. The numbers are astounding once people hit silver. So keep going with that, guys. Next week, we're going to talk to the reds and the yellows about getting to silver, and we'll give you a couple more tips and pointers. There's also a power hour that Carissa is leading tomorrow. I believe it's at noon Central. Does that sound right? Anybody? Lorelai's nodding her head. Noon Central. It's a corporate power hour. I know she wants us all to be there. If you are available, get on that power hour. She's going to help with rocking our business with the new Joyome. Get that stuff out. It's available to all your ambassadors until it sells out. And guys, this product is amazing. The 5-day, 3-day, 1-day, 7-day pictures are blowing my mind. So get Joyome in front of people. It's going to be available for the public in 4 weeks-ish, 3.5 weeks. So let's keep pumping that up, and we will see you guys all next week. I'm going to end the recording.